Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Today's video is going to be a great one. It's going to be kind of elaborating on the video we had a few days ago, talking about what to stockpile, the beginner prep, what to buy at Walmart. This video is a little bit different, but it's also going to be on things that you can purchase and make sure you are stockpiled before you start seeing a lot of the food chain, the food supply issues really hit America. One thing you got to realize is that food that we're eating right now is mostly last year's harvest. That's even down to our local gardens, the things that we're growing right here, all those beans and peas. Some of those we eat fresh, but most of those we can and we freeze because we're eating last year's harvest. Well, it's the same way with our grocery stores. A lot of things you're eating is last year's harvest. You're going to start seeing at the end of the season the shortages that are really taking place, or the shrinkflation and inflation prices of the food that you're having to buy. So it may not be shortages, it may be inflation, it may be shrinkflation, same price, less goods. But this video is going to help try to hedge against those things. These are going to be 10 items that you need to purchase right now, stockpile before they're going to be gone. Also, it can help you get through some major tough times in the survival scenario. Before the crap hits the fan, pick these up right now.
Close your eyes. Get some rest.
The sun is shining through this beautiful oak on our property. Love this area, love seeing the lake. It's peaceful. You hear the crickets, you can even hear the roosters going crazy this morning. So today's video is going to be a good one. As we said in the intro, it's about 10 things that you need to purchase, 10 foods, 10 items that are very good, that's going to last a long time, if not forever. But also is very important because if you have these staples in your home, then you can make other meals, you can have other foods, you can provide a lot of food for your family. So let's get started on number one. Number one, this may be something that you may not can find at your local grocer. You may have to buy it online, or you may even buy it at a feed store. It's yellow dent corn. It is a field corn. Now this could be one of the things that's short in supply because we utilize yellow dent corn for so much. But by having it, you are providing ways that you can grind it up. You can make tortillas, so you can have some kind of bread. You can make cornbread, which is some kind of bread. You could have grits, which is some kind of filling meal. You can make polenta. You can make all kinds of things that are filling meals that come from the ground, but that you could buy pretty cheaply. You can pick up yellow dent corn to grow, or you can buy yellow dent corn to actually harvest, that's already harvested and dried. It's one of those things when you're purchasing, it's already ready as a non-perishable good. You can put that up, put it in Mylar bags, put it in food grade buckets, but make sure you have it at a good spot. You could turn around and use it for emergency cases, and it will last a long time, and you can pretty much buy it in bulk. Sometimes you can buy a 50-pound sack of organic or non-GMO yellow dent corn for $15 to $20. Now, we have seen that price go up. Actually, the provider that I buy it from is around $24 to $25 now, but it's one of those things that you need to purchase, you need to have on hand, you need to be able to put up. It's not your local grocer food, but it can be used for so many ingredients and so many bases for all the things that you're making. Another major benefit to the yellow dent corn, especially if you're buying it in its normal state, you're buying it in a non-GMO or heirloom form, and you're buying it in whole kernel. Once you start running out of it, once you're grinding it down, some of the kernels, keep the kernels, because then you can turn around and replant that. So that is a seed that you can have pretty much, again, it lasts forever. You've got the product, now you can make the new product. It's a game changer. Number two is honey. Honey is a natural sweetener. It's good for us. It's about one of the only sweeteners that you can eat that actually has a lot of benefits to your health, respiratory, allergies, and etc. But make sure you're buying an unfiltered raw honey. Try to buy it from a local provider, not really the supermarket, but it's one of those things that could be a game changer for your health, but also it never goes bad. If you don't go in with some kind of water or some kind of bacteria spoon or fork or knife or some way of putting your bacteria in it, honey will last forever. We have 40 to 50 gallons all the time at our residence. Now, because we are bee farmers and we keep that much of our own supply. We sell some, but pretty much we like to keep it because it is a great quality sugar and sweetener for all the dishes that you're making. So we talked about yellow dent corn and honey. Both of those are staples in a lot of meals. So now you're not saying I'm buying a one-size-fit-all kind of grocer or one-size-fit-all kind of food. You're buying something that could be a staple in a lot of dishes. Add yellow dent corn, add honey. Make sure you're buying those in the rawest, most organic or non-filtered or non-GMO forms, because both of them could be huge, and they're goods that can stay good, do not go rancid or do not rot in a timely manner. They can be on your shelf for a long time, and you can buy these things a lot of times in bulk, especially in honey. There's a provider local, not me, but there is a provider local that literally harvests so much honey that he will literally sell you 5-gallon totes at a very good price, and it's unfiltered raw honey. So make sure you are doing all that you can and providing a good staple for your shelves, such as yellow dent corn, but also honey. Number 3, another great staple to have, and we buy this in bulk. It's something you can put in your freezer for a season. You can put in Mylar bags, sealed off, is dried yeast. Yeast is a game changer when you're making breads, rolls, any kind of dough-based, flour-based products. You could have baking powder instead. We like yeast because, again, it helps us make our own bread. Bread is one of those things that go in shortage pretty quickly. Wheat, with the shortage like it is, we stockpile a lot of flour, in which we've talked about. By having yeast, it allows you to utilize that a little bit better, and also make sure that you're not eating just tortillas all the time. You can make your own bread. Situation where food shortage is pretty rampant. Bread is not shelf stable. By having yeast, by having some of the things that makes bread, it allows you to know that you can make bread for months and years to come with one big bulk pack of yeast, instead of buying loaves of bread that's not going to last you but maybe a week. Number 4 is going to be dehydrated milk. Dehydrated milk can be picked up in store. Because we own a dairy cow, of course, we do make our own freeze-dried milk with our dehydrator and freeze dryer. However, it's one of those things, by having powdered milk, it allows you to have something that is not shelf stable, like milk, to make it go long term. So milk is in a lot of things that we eat, guys. You know that. So by having it in a dried powdered form, it allows it to last longer. It allows it to be shelf stable. It allows it to go further, because you can rehydrate it with water, something that hopefully you have a lot of. But if not, you can turn around and use it in a powdered form to make, you know, if you're making some kind of casserole, or you're making some kind of cake, or you're making some kind of bread, having that milk in that form and that facet is a game changer. If you can pick up a raw form of milk and you have a dehydrator or a freeze dryer, utilize it, because it's going to allow that one product that may last, you know, 5 to 10 to 15 days of an expiration, to now it's going to last years on your shelf. That's non-perishable. Game changer. Make sure it's dried, make sure it's powdered correctly, and it'll be here for a long time. Number 5 is a big one also. We're going to talk about it in 2 parts, but it's a fat, it's an oil. We're talking about rendered lard as number 5, but also if you're thinking about vegetable oil, canola oil, olive oil, make sure the fat that you are putting up is something that's going to last for a long time. So we can and render our own lard off our hogs. We also can butter, which is almost like a ghee that you see in stores. You need to have some form of fat to go along with your diet. We don't realize how in our micro and macronutrients, fat plays a very big key for our bodies. We're not talking about some kind of unhealthy, sugary fat. We're talking about good quality fats, like our rendered lard, like natural butters, like a true vegetable oil that is organic, or an olive oil. Olive oil is a game changer too. Make sure you have one of those on the shelf to go a long ways, because again, if we're making breads, if we're having to cook for ourselves, if we're having to cook our vegetables that we are now growing, you have to have some form of fat to cook some of these things in. Very vital to our farm, very vital to your home. Stockpile oil. You can buy it in bulk, like sugar, like flour, like milk, like eggs, like bread. Oil leaves pretty quickly. You want to make sure that it is shelf stable. You're buying a good bit in bulk and having it, because it's going to be one of those things you don't realize how much oil you use until you're out of it. Talking about oil, but let's go back to the dehydrated milk. It's another way that you can get your fats and proteins through dehydrated milk. Again, that's going to be a shelf stable item. So these 2 items are just like the first 3. The oils, the milk, all these things can be very versatile and used in so many different forms and fashions, but also can be long lasting on your shelves. Every one of these things that we've talked about too can be easily bought in bulk, and is actually more economical to buy these things in bulk. Also, a lot of these things can be bought from local farmers, not just at your supermarkets, and you can utilize building that relationship and that community with a lot of these ingredients and a lot of these things that we're talking about. You can buy your milk, you can dehydrate it, and you can also get the butter off of it, the cream off of it. Your rendered lard, you can, harvest a pig. If someone's harvesting a pig for you and you're buying just simply the rendered fat, you would be surprised how many people do not use a lot of the rendered fat or the rendered tallow or a lot of the fats off our animals because they're not used to knowing what to do with it. So a lot of times if you know someone that just got a harvest of a processed beef or processed hog, ask them, can we have your lard, or can we have your tallow, can we have your fat, so we can render it down and we can utilize it. It's shelf stable. You can learn to can and preserve things. Be versatile with what you're learning. Gain knowledge, because it again will help you for a long, long time.
The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out.
Number 6, we're going with the proteins on the meat side. Make sure that you are having some kind of meat in your home. And what I mean by that is not just in your freezer. We put up a lot of meat in our freezer. We've learned to be versatile with canned meat and dehydrated meat. So your pemmican, your beef jerky, you can buy those at the store pretty reasonable. It's expensive compared to buying your own cut of meat and dehydrating it yourself. On the same scenario of that, let's look at canned meats. We've talked about buying canned meat or canned fish. Pink salmon is one of the most healthy canned meats that you can buy. So if you can buy the canned salmon, the canned tuna, the canned chicken, not only are you getting the meat, the quality, the protein out of those things, it actually gives you a little bit more water to utilize in your cooking or in your eating of that product. So now we have dehydrated meat, we have canned meat. Make sure you're buying those from the store, because you're building a protein base with your fats, your oils that we've talked about before. You need a well-balanced diet when we talk about in a survival situation or when food's at a shortage. By having these things in bulk buying, it allows you to know that you're paying less for them now than you would in a few weeks, months, or years, but they're gonna last a long time and they're gonna be good for our health. Say you're not a meat eater. This next one is for you. So you can pick up chickpeas and lentils. Those are dried and very, very economical when we talk about going to Walmart or going to a supermarket and buying those kind of beans. Lentils and chickpeas are very versatile. You can utilize them in a lot of different meals. They are protein rich. A lot of times with beans, we see they're just fiber rich or they're just a filler. But when it comes to lentils and chickpeas, a lot of people use those in replacements of meat because of the protein. Like lentils are very small, they're very light, they're not really dense, so they cook real quickly. So it's one of those things, say you're conserving water, you're conserving energy, lentils go a long way by making sure you can cook it quick and eat it quick. The garbanzo or the chickpeas, again, it's a good replacement for people who are not eating a lot of meat. It allows you to eat that kind of form of vegetable beans that are high, rich, not only in fiber, but in protein. Really big key when you talk about having an abbreviated diet or not being able to buy what you want or grow what you want. By having lentils, by having chickpeas, just like the meats before, it allows you to have the protein sources that you may not necessarily get when we're having to be very, very conscientious of what we're buying and we're not having a lot of it in a supply situation. Number 8 is going to be beef broth, chicken broth, any kind of broth. We can ours again, but you can buy broth so cheap at any supermarket. Again, say you're harvesting animals, say you're cooking chicken on the bone. You can make your own broth very, very easy with some of the cuttings of what's left of the animal or some of the cuttings of what's left of your vegetables, such as your carrots, onions, and celery. Build you a vegetable, beef, chicken, or pork broth, whatever you're wanting, whatever the flavor is the best for you. Make sure that you are building that broth. It's good, it's portable soup, it allows it to go a long way. It's a good filler because it has all these ingredients cooked into the juices. So as you're drinking, it's a good filler because again, you're cooking so much and rendering it down into this pungent, great quality soup. So you're drinking something like you would water, but it's going to be a lot more filler because it has all the additives and all the benefits from the meat or from the vegetables that has been rendered down for a long, long time. So if you can make your own, it's going to be even cheaper. If you can't make your own, you can buy it in canned form. Very, very easy, and it's very, very cheap. Put it on your shelf because it can be a great filler when food is of shortage. It can be a great additive, very versatile, just like anything else we talked about. It also helps rehydrate some of the things that we've talked about, such as the beans. If you're needing to rehydrate the beans, say you have rice or anything that is dried and you need to rehydrate and you want to conserve your water for other things, the broth can be very, very, very important for that element. And that way you're not adding so much fat, so you're not rehydrating with oil or fat, you're not using your water, you have broth to do the same thing and essentially be better for us and good for our palate. Makes it more enjoyable as we eat these foods that we have in high demand. And we may be on a tighter repertoire or a tighter palette of food. So by having the broth, it adds a different flavor. Very versatile, very good to have on your shelf, and it's actually pretty cheap. Going along with the broth is buying bouillon cubes, buying some kind of powdered form of broth. So I would make sure that you have beef bouillon, chicken bouillon, because it's a way that you can put literally a canister full of tons of soup, tons of additives, tons of dried goodness. Bouillon cubes are really small. They're usually in these little square packages, or you can buy it in little canisters that's already powdered, that's not in square form. But it's just like the broth. Say you don't have a lot of room to put tons of cans or gallons worth of chicken broth or beef broth or vegetable broth. Well, by having the beef cubes or having the chicken cubes or whatever, or the bouillon, it allows you to then rehydrate it in water, and there you go. You've got, again, a portable soup, a way that you can have a filler, a way that you can change the flavor of a lot of different things that you are eating. Number 9 is dried fruit. Now, here's where I would say dried fruit can be very expensive. But say that you buy a cheap economic dehydrator, food dehydrator. We have an Excalibur, so it's one of the higher priced ones now. But we started off one we bought at a garage sale for $1. We literally did. Then we kind of upgraded from the dollar version to an open country one that was about $50 or $60. Both of those, I would say, were not made for meats, but they were very easily assessed for your leafy greens or for your fruit. So if you're buying dried fruit from Walmart or buying dried fruit from your grocer, you're probably going to pay a pretty good bit, which is still going to be cheaper than what it probably will be in a year from now. But dried fruit has so many benefits. Dehydrated food does not lose a lot of its benefit. It does not lose a lot of its calories and all its fats, oils, and sweeteners. It does lose denseness, but it does not lose the calorie count, and it does not lose all the minerals and vitamins that it's giving you. So making sure that you are dehydrating your fruit. So I would buy regular fruit, whatever you like the best, if it's apples, bananas, oranges, pineapples, or so forth, and dehydrate yourself. I would challenge you to do that because that's gonna be a lot cheaper. But say you can't do that and you wanna buy prepackaged dried dehydrated fruit, you can add it to a lot of ingredients and make this nice little dessert, a little sweet tooth for you. Add it to your honey. It's great. By having dehydrated fruit on the go, you can pop that in. It's a different taste to the palate versus the beef bouillon and chicken and lard and fat and all that stuff. Very shelf stable, last a long time. We have got dried and dehydrated fruit that's been on our shelves for years. You can use it to cook with rehydration. You can use it to add to any meal, but it's very good just to pop in your mouth and go and just enjoy it. I make a lot of times, as busy as we are on the farm, I may grab some dehydrated meat, I may grab some dehydrated fruit, a little scoop of honey, I'm ready to rock. I would probably add the peanut butter in there too, because I like the peanut butter. But it's one of those things that can be very versatile. Take, eat on the go. You're changing your palate up, you're getting all the nutrients and goodness and calorie counts from the dehydrated fruit. Last thing, we tend to focus on what we need in a shortage situation or supply chain issue. We've talked about 1 through 9 really being for us and to feed our family. One thing we hadn't talked about, now I have animals. I'm not really just talking about these animals on a farm. I'm talking about your animals such as your dog and cat, your gerbil, your rabbit, whatever you have as a pet. You need to make sure you are getting bulk pet food. Now some people say it loses luster, it loses value. That's okay. Buy it in dried form, let it go as long as it can, because you can buy it in bulk and usually cheaper. If you buy some canned food to get you by, the dogs really may not want your yellow dent corn. So you need to make sure that you are buying things that are just purposely for your dog, for your cat, and for your animals. We need to make sure we're taking care of our animals too. Remember, a lot of times animals are therapy. They bring joy, they bring happiness to us. Now sometimes my animals can cause me stress because we own a farm and we own a ton of animals. But when it comes to our dog and our cat, it's just something about them that gives us happiness, that gives us joy. So don't forget about them. So number 10, I would say, is animal food, dog food, cat food, whatever you have, what kind of animal that you have. I think your goldfish will be okay with a little bit, but make sure you're buying the rest in major bulk. Make sure you're taking care of them just like you take care of us. I hope this video has been a good eye-opener for you. We've talked about, I'm gonna link the Walmart video below about buying and starting a prepping pantry with 10 items that are pretty cheap, When I made the video, you could buy it all for about $200. With the way inflation has went, I know it's been higher. I know a lot of people in Canada said they are way over that budget, which is understandable. Which, again, that's why the sooner you buy it, the better, because it's going to be cheaper for you for sure. Please think about buying a lot of these staples. I hope you have a lot of these staples already, but if you don't, you need to go buy them. From the co-ops to growing your own to going to the grocery, make sure you have these on your shelf in your prepping pantry, taking care of your family, where stress and all the craziness of this world won't get you too bad. Gives you hope, have joy. The animals are therapy, so you need to feed them. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.